Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right into it. All right. Yep. A North Carolina expert is predicting North Carolina will beat Tennessee. How about them apples?
Okay. I guess we're playing for keeps now. I guess the kidding around is pretty much over, huh?
Yeah, we'll talk all about that. We're also going to talk about the both games last night. North Carolina won in last-minute fashion, and, of course, the VOLS came back from a 3-run deficit in the ninth, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and just kept scoring. So we'll take a look at some of that as well. And this was on Twitter. Of course, this is how North Carolina won. This is their best hitter, Doink. And that was the end of the game right there for them, bottom of the ninth, just like the VOLS. Last-minute hit. So needless to say, North Carolina is feeling good right now. They won 3-2 over Virginia. And here you'll see the VOLS with their last second heroics. This was the 2-run RBI double. You can see how excited everybody was. I mean, they were going nuts. Here comes, it's time for the tackle. Wow. Boom. Holy shnikes. That was one of the best games I've ever watched. That comeback was unbelievable. And in the early innings, when we gave up 8 runs in the third and the fourth, and we kept committing errors, and it was just, it was awful.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yeah, I felt like I was taking crazy pills. I just thought, there's no way we're coming back from this. But then I was thinking, Tennessee is such a good offensive team. If we get this starter out, which we eventually did for FSU, we could come back. And sure enough, it just happened. It was almost like a storybook ending, really. It was just kind of shocking. So needless to say, there were a lot of people partying last night and having a great time. And now I'm still kind of feeling that way. But eventually I got to sleep and thought, man, I need to kind of readdress this a little bit and also talk about the game coming up tomorrow at 6 p.m. against North Carolina. And this is a story in the Fayetteville Observer by Rod Baxley. He covers the North Carolina team and I'm sure has a very good feel for this team. And he came up with a prediction. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And North Carolina is going to be throwing Shea Sprague, who has a 4.0 ERA. He's a solid starter. He's got a 3-1 record. He's won a couple of games in the NCAA tournament. And their entire pitching staff is solid with a 4.28, very similar to the VOLS. So that's who we'll be going up against. And the VOLS will be putting out Drew Beam, who has a 4.4 ERA, very similar to Sprague. And, of course, I don't know how many innings he'll pitch. We've been sort of doing the pitch by committee. We haven't really had anybody that's gone a long time as a starter. It's almost like whoever's up to bat, whether it's a left-handed, right-hander. We have a lot of long relievers who can come in and pitch 3 or 4 innings. And that seems to be the route that Tennessee's going this year. And that's been happening a lot all season. And I'm sure Sprague, if he gives up very many runs, he won't be in there very long either. It just depends. You know, when you're in this elimination sequence like this, you can't afford to let a game get away from you. You got to try to win every game almost at all costs. I mean, really, that's just kind of the way it is. Now, Tennessee's the more powerful team with 175 home runs right here for the team and a slugging percentage of .615. And Christian Moore is just absolutely lighting it up. He's closing in on hitting 400. He's up to 385. Blake Burke's at 380. 33 home runs, and look at, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 7 guys that are in double digits for home runs, and we're leading the country in dingers. North Carolina's a very good hitting team as well. They bat 304. They've had 113 home runs, not nearly as many as the VOLS, but they can knock it out of the park. They've got a couple of really good. This Vance Honeycutt's great. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's got 26 home runs. He's batting 312. Their best hitter, as far as percentage, is 345, and he has 18 home runs. So they got 1, 2, 3. They got 5 guys that are in double digits, so they can knock it out of the park. They're just not as deep. We've got really about 7 or 8, 9 guys that can knock it out of the park very easily. Now, granted, this park is much bigger. If you'll notice, we only had 2 home runs last night, and FSU only had 1, and they like to knock it out of the park as well. It's just there's an extra 10 or 15 feet all the way across the field. And you also notice that there were a lot of triples and doubles because the gaps are so much bigger and the outfielders are trying to cover a much bigger area. We also saw some kind of goofy plays that happened out in the outfield as well, where people just didn't time it right. And it's a totally different feel than if you're playing in Knoxville or if you're playing at their home field in Florida State. So it's hard for those players, especially under that intense pressure, to play at the level they're used to. And we also had quite a few errors in that game as well. I think we had like 5 total errors between the two teams. So I'm looking for a very good ball game. North Carolina's good. I'll go ahead and tell you, just like FSU, once you get to the College World Series, not only are you dealing with some very good teams, but they're all hot. Every one of them is playing great. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. And they're usually on a really nice winning streak. Otherwise, they'd be gone. As you can see from the odds, Tennessee is favored out of the 8 teams, plus 175. Then Texas A&M. Then UNC, they're third. And Florida State, of course, they've dropped quite a bit after the loss, and Virginia as well. Now, this expert has got North Carolina beating us 7-6. He says the magic continues for the Tar Heels, whose clutch hitting and pitching will get the program one step closer to the championship series.
Oh, well, there's strikes 2 and 3 right there.
Yeah, it strikes 2 and 3 right there. Now, look, he's writing for his hometown paper. He's followed them all year. I can understand him, siding with his team. He's kind of got to do that, honestly. Otherwise, everybody's going to give him a ton of grief. But I like that. I like that they feel, hey, we're going to take care of this team. We're going to beat them. Okay, that's fine. We'll just stay kind of quiet, and we'll just do our thing and see how this comes out. And I'm cool with that. And I'm going to be doing a pre-show for that. This 6 o'clock couldn't have worked out better for me, so I'll be planning on doing that tomorrow. And I'm going to be wearing my good luck chain. It's gotten us this far, so there's no point in changing. And I know you folks are fired up about the game tomorrow as well. This is a big one. If we can win tomorrow, we'll be in very good shape to make it to the finals. But, you know how baseball is. It's just one game at a time, one hit at a time. We were down to 2 outs and 2 strikes and won that ball game multiple times. So this might be a team of destiny. You never know. But understand there's plenty of teams in there that feel the same way. Oh, and I told you my brother Junebug went to the game. He went actually out to Omaha for the College World Series. And he actually went by himself. And nobody else could go because it was last minute. And he just bought a standing room only. There were 25,000 people there. And he said it was absolutely packed. He said that place is huge. He might have said 35,000. I can't remember. It was either 25 or 35, that's monstrous. He said it was absolutely packed. And he went down to the UT section, and there were some guys that he knew down there that had an open seat. So he went down and sat with them during the game. And he said there must have been 8,000 or 10,000 UT fans that showed up at the World Series. And he said every one of them was yelling, screaming. Everybody was hugging. He said it was absolutely a wild event.
I'm sorry that I yelled at you yesterday. I really am.
Said it was the most excited he's ever seen VOLS fans as far as baseball is concerned. Although he goes to the games in Knoxville all the time and people go crazy there as well. But this was such a great epic comeback in an incredible situation. College World Series, and you come back 3 down in the bottom of the 9th and manage to pull out a victory is just monstrous. Anyway, I just thought I'd tell you about him being out there. And I wanted to hear from him to see what it was like firsthand, because I know it had to be just incredible there. And he said it was. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big sports stories. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button right here. It will not cost you a dime. Helps me out. And right over here is the most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.